You know, sometimes a single game tells you so much more about a team than an entire season ever could. It's not always about the final score. It's about the fight, the grit, and who steps up when everything, and I mean everything, is on the line. Today, we're looking at a game that was less about the opponent and more about the battle within. It's a question we all ask as fans, right? Is character defined by a flawless victory? Or is it how a team responds when their backs are completely against the wall, when key players are dropping like flies, and a win just seems to be slipping away? That's what we're going to dig into today. All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get into the sheer onslaught of injuries the team had to deal with. Then, we'll look at how the next guys in line answered the call. We'll pinpoint the one critical area that held them back, and finally, wrap up with what this tough loss really means for their playoff hopes. To really get what happened in this game, you have to understand the sheer adversity they were up against. This wasn't just a case of one or two guys going down. It was a constant rolling crisis that really put the depth of this entire roster to the test. I mean, just look at this list. The team was already coming in without starters Zach Tom and Evan Williams. Then, during the game, your starting quarterback Jordan Love gets knocked out with a concussion. Your top running back Josh Jacobs is limited and has a fumble. A key receiver, Romeo Doubs, injures his wrist. Oh, and you end the game with just one healthy tight end. It was a full-blown mash unit out there. But this is where the story takes a turn. Because when your starters fall, a team's true character is revealed in the players who have to step in. And in this game, the backups didn't just fill in, they absolutely shined. With Jordan Love out, suddenly all eyes turn to the backup, Malik Willis. He's thrown into the fire in a high-stakes divisional game on the road, with the season basically hanging in the balance. Yeah, no pressure, right? And you could just feel it from his teammates. This quote from safety Javon Bullard says it all. He didn't flinch. That's the ultimate sign of respect. He didn't just manage the game, he elevated it, and you could feel that energy. And hey, the numbers, they absolutely back that feeling up. A passer rating of 142.8, 9 of 11 passing, 121 yards, a touchdown. Those are elite numbers for any quarterback, let alone a guy coming in cold off the bench. And it wasn't just at the quarterback position either. With Josh Jacobs limited and then eventually out after that fumble, the team had to turn to Emmanuel Wilson to carry the rushing attack. And just look at that efficiency, 5.9 yards per carry. On 14 attempts, he churned out 82 really tough yards. He wasn't just a placeholder, he was a legitimate weapon, keeping the offense on schedule and moving the chains. This quote from a defensive leader like Rashawn Gary talking about Willis, it just gets to the absolute heart of that next man up mentality. He stayed ready. That speaks to a culture of professionalism, where guys prepare like they're the starter because they know their moment can come at any time. So with all these guys stepping up, all this heroic effort, why didn't they get the win? Well, football is a game of inches and opportunities. And for all their fight between the 20-yard lines, once they got inside the 20, they just hit a brick wall. This is the number that just tells the whole story of the loss. 0 touchdowns in 5 trips to the red zone. You just can't win football games in this league, especially not tough divisional matchups, leaving that many points on the field. It's impossible. And when you break it down, man, it is so frustrating. 3 times they had to settle for a field goal. Once they went for it on 4th down and got stopped. And once a costly fumble just ended another prime scoring chance. Every single one was a massive missed opportunity that, in the end, cost them the game. And you know what? The players, they knew it. There was no sugarcoating it after the game. Romeo Doubs summed it up perfectly. It wasn't one person's fault. It was a collective failure to execute when it mattered most. You know, a loss like that, an overtime heartbreaker, filled with injuries and missed chances, that could absolutely splinter a team. But instead, the message coming out of that locker room was one of unity and resolve. But this is the kind of mentality that keeps a season from going off the rails. Defensive end Colby Wooden saying, "I got everybody's back." It's about accountability without pointing fingers and focusing on what's next, not what went wrong. And really, this is the biggest takeaway of all. For all the pain of this loss, their number one goal is still right there in front of them. The path to the playoffs is still in their hands. They don't need help from anyone else. They just need to go out and win. So that really leaves us with this one big question, doesn't it? They proved they have depth, they proved they have an incredible amount of fight, they faced a total storm of adversity and nearly came out with a win. So can that very resilience, that character that was tested by fire, be the thing that ultimately pushes them over the top and into the postseason? I guess we're all about to find out.